Hey everyone, so this is a call. What I want to talk about in this particular video is this is a very particular way to transmute sexual energy. This is related to Kundalini Yoga. The one thing I want to say really quickly about transmuting sexual energy is that there's two forms of transmutation of sexual energy. One is more acutely, meaning in the moment, right? So in the moment, let's say during a sexual experience, etc., you can shift around and move this energy. You can also do these kinds of practices on an everyday basis, but usually they're tricks or particular techniques. There's other ways in which we can transmutate sexual energy as well, and these processes often have to do with, like for instance, the recognition of that you are trapped in some sort of sexual fixation, and then you simply go do something else, right? So that would be another form of transmutation. This particular video, though, is specifically focused on a technique. Specifically, what we're talking about is Kriya. Kriya is a technique from the Kundalini Yoga system. If you ever go to a Kundalini Yoga class, you'll find that this technique will often pop up. 25 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever it was, that I went through Kundalini Yoga teachers training, there was one teacher who came to the class. He was a guest teacher, and he had us doing this particular technique for 27 minutes, which I felt was a little excessive. In this particular video, though, we're going to just be doing it for more or less about 7 minutes total. So, and we're also going to be doing some preparatory techniques so that it is specific to sexual energy. Because generally speaking, when you go to a Kundalini Yoga class, they don't say, oh, this is for sexual energy. But in this particular case, we're going to cater it specific for that purpose. So before I continue, I want to draw your awareness to two things down below the video. One is there is a free link for what is called the formula, which is for those individuals who are interested in sacred sexual practices. You can check out that link down below. That's for a PDF. It's completely free. Also down below the video is a link for my sexual energy coaching program, which I feel is an excellent way to just completely reset your relationship with your sexual energy. So you want to go ahead and check that out. It's a great value. So continuing on now. So a couple other things I want to mention really quickly about this idea of transmuting sexual energy. One of the reasons why this is so important for men, outside of the obvious, which is that we tend to become entranced by this, because, well, let me explain really quickly why we become entranced by this. And I've probably said this in a dozen videos before, but it's worth repeating. I was in Colorado. Denver, Colorado is maybe 10 years ago. And I found a particular book in a secondhand bookstore. And in this secondhand bookstore, I picked up this book. It was a Taoist book. And I kind of leafed through it really quickly. And I was like, all right, this looks good. It's right up my alley for things that I was studying at that time. So I went, purchased the book, walked over to a coffee shop, a couple doors down. And I went to the coffee shop. I opened the book up on the table, and it fell open to a specific page. And on that page, what it showed is a stick figure man and a stick figure woman. Stick figure man had a plus sign by the genitals and a minus sign by the heart. Stick figure woman, minus sign by the genitals, plus sign by the heart. So I'm not going to get into the generalizations as to what the woman meant, but I can tell you specifically, because I am a man, what the male side meant. The plus sign by the genital meant this is what we radiate where we are electric. Okay? So other words, this is a force for men. This is something that is radiating from us almost all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. So in other words, it's a strength or a power, but we need to learn to work with it. So many of the tantric techniques, as well as Taoist practices in various other sacred sexual traditions, they tend to deal with this idea of channeling sexual energy upward, which is incredibly important for a man. So the idea specifically here is that we're going to be moving it up the spinal cord and down the front of the body. And I'm going to be integrating, in essence, 4 different techniques into this one procedure. The idea here is you have to move the energy up out of the genitalia into the navel point. The navel point is 2 fingers down below the video. You can see where I smashed my finger. Anyway, it's not nail polish. Anyway, so anyway, you can shift that sexual energy up into the belly, into the navel point. Once again, about 2 fingers below the navel. And when you're doing these processes, it's not simply that you're contracting, inhaling into that space. You have to bring your sense of awareness and feeling along every step of the way. So let me repeat that. Bring your sense of feeling and your awareness along every step of the way. Now, this is going to allow you to then, in essence, to focus and concentrate the energy, because the concept, which is quite simple here, is energy flows to where the attention goes. So the greater your focus, the greater your concentration, the greater the energy will shift, okay? So other thing I want to mention really quickly is, I may have mentioned this before, I don't remember, but the idea here is that what we're doing is called the microcosmic orbit. So that's typically associated with the Taoists, but again, it's up the spine and down the front of the body. So you can check that out online, microcosmic orbit. So now going further into this practice, the other thing I want to kind of mention about this really quickly is that this practice is, it can be difficult, right? It can be challenging. Like I mentioned before, I did this for 27 minutes in one of my yoga classes back in the day. It was very uncomfortable, very painful to some degree. But like I said, the duration of time we're going to be doing it now shouldn't be so difficult. A couple things that, before we get into the practice itself, that I want to mention is that the posture, your alignment. If you tend to be collapsed in the front side of the body, this is going to be quite difficult. It's going to put a lot of strain across your shoulders. Now, the reason that we're bringing our body to such an upright position has to do with how life force energy conducts. Life force energy conducts most efficiently when you're upright, right? So very much most yoga, most tantra practices, most Taoist practices place an emphasis on the idea of having an upright spine, right? So it's all about stacking the spine so that the energies in the body, the meridian lines, etc., are all flowing without inhibition or blockage. So that's one thing. So what you want to do is, although this tends to be done in what's called rock pose, which is how I'm seated now on my heels, okay? So this is typically done in rock pose. You can also do this cross-leg. I find it more difficult cross-leg. And the other way you can do this is get a chair, all right? So no harm, no foul in getting a chair. At least you can keep a nice upright spine, okay? So, but if you do sit in a chair, place your feet flat on the floor, leverage the perineum forward so you're pressing down, okay? So you want to make sure you get that spine tall. The thing I want to mention really quickly also about having a tall spine is it's dependent on two variables, right? So you have the quote-unquote sacral pump, which is down around the tailbone, right? So it's the sort of, tailbone, sacral area, and then also the cranial pump in the back. So while you're pushing down, you're also elongating the neck. So you're pushing down while pulling up at the same time, which helps elongate the spine. And usually it also helps to inhale, retain the breath, push down, pulling up, and then you can do this repeatedly until you feel you have a nice upright spine before you begin the practice. The essence here, what we're doing is that we are surrendering to gravity. Right, so I want you to keep in mind also that part of the grounding experience or the grounding process requires that we surrender to gravity, keeping in mind that it's silly not to surrender to gravity, right? This idea that there's, don't quote me on the numbers here, but 9.8 meters per second squared, I believe, is how you measure gravity, okay? So 9.8 meters per second squared, there's a force, other words, that's pressing down on us 100% of our life, unless you go into space. All right, so 100% of your life, there's a force working on you, and all you really have to do is surrender to it. Simple as that. We're not looking to defy gravity. And the reason we need to be grounded in the body and surrender to gravity is because of what I call the rebound effect, which is actually a biomechanics term, which basically says you need, in order to elevate, which is what we're doing here with our sexual energies, we're elevating it, we're moving it up the spine. In order to elevate, we need to push off on something solid, right? So energetically speaking, in terms of the bioenergetics of the body, this means we integrate our awareness into the body. We surrender to balance, right? Because balance, or what we call balance, is simply the acknowledgement or the observation that we are pushing down into something solid beneath us, okay? So that being said, let's go ahead and go into this practice a little bit. So first step of the practice, I'll verbally walk you through this. So first step of the practice we're going to do is we're going to do some breath of fire. You can do this very slow. So you exhale, pull in the belt line, and you relax the belt line, air comes in. So you can do it fast or slow. Again, belt line goes in, air goes out, okay? So that's the process. So you're pulling in and releasing, pulling in and releasing, pulling in and releasing. You don't have to worry about the inhale and the exhale. The navel point going in and out is going to determine basically how the air is flowing. So after we do that for about a minute, then we're going to do the accessing the sexual energy. You don't need a strong stimulation in order to transmute sexual energy. You just need to feel it a little bit. So if you just feel it a little bit, so what we're going to do after we do the breath of fire is I'm going to have you inhale, retain the breath, contract and relax the genitalia. So you're just going to contract and relax, and it's like you're contracting and pulling up towards your belly. Okay, so it's like you're contracting and pulling up towards your navel, and then relaxing, returning your awareness to the tip. So contract, pull in, back to the tip, contract, pull in, contract, pull in. Okay, so that's the idea here. And again, you're pulling the awareness up inside the belly. After we do this, then we're going to go into Kriya. Kriya, again, the posture is we're interlacing the fingers, index fingers extended, thumbs crossed, arms are hugging the ears. So with Kriya, what's really important to remember is that, again, we're really just maintaining an upright spine. And if you have to sit in a chair, do that. But we want to really hug the ears in here, right? And then we're drawing our awareness to our hands up above the head, okay? So the hands are going to be up above the head. And once the hands are up above the head, you're going to close your eyes, roll the eyes, or relax the eyes upward. And once your eyes are relaxed upward, then what's going to end up happening is that this is going to cause a shunting or a channeling of energy in an upright direction. So once we start to go through this whole process, you're going to have this alignment where everything is going to be squeezing upward. You're going to be pulling in the belt line, and when you pull in the belt line, you'll say the sound SAT, S-A-T. And then when you relax your belt line, the sound will be NAM, N-A-M. So it's SAT, NAM, SAT, NAM, SAT, NAM, SAT, NAM. I think you get the idea. Okay, so again, so much of this is going to be happening from our body's powerhouse or our center of gravity right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get into the practice. So first off, once again, let's find a nice upright position. You want to go ahead and sit on your heels, sit cross-legged, sit in a chair, push that perineum down, which will help you elongate the spine. Relax the tension on your body, allow it to settle down, right? You want it to settle down into what's solid beneath you. Okay, so once you feel settled down into what's solid beneath you, then what we're going to do is take a breath in. You want to tuck the chin very gently, elongating the back of the neck, extending upward towards your crown, okay? So now we have a nice, upright, tall spine. Good. So let's go ahead and we're going to get into the breath of fire. So in order to do the breath of fire, let's go ahead and take a full breath in. Exhale all that air out. Inhale half breath. And let's go ahead and begin. Breath of fire. Again, belt line. You pull your belt line in, air goes out, you relax the belt line, and then air will come in naturally. So pull in, release, pull in, release, pull in, release. Let's keep this up for 1 minute. Now, if you find this particular exercise kind of clunky as you're doing it, you could just try rapid breathing in and out of the nose, or what is called bellows breath. So let's keep this up. Let's do about 30 more seconds. Good. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath in, retain the breath. So now what we're going to do is you're going to begin contracting and relaxing the genitalia from the tip inward. If you're a female, from clitoris inward. If you're a man, from the tip of the penis inward. So contract, relax, keep that breath retained in. And you're kind of drawing your awareness inward towards inward towards your testicles, towards your perineum, and inward towards your belly, ultimately. So you want to keep doing this until you feel the sexy feeling. Again, it can be very, very, very subtle. Pulling in and relaxing, pulling in, relaxing. If you need to go ahead and exhale, go ahead and exhale all the way around. And then inhale, retain the breath once again. Continue contracting and relaxing, contracting and relaxing, contracting and relaxing. Usually it takes about 30 to 45 seconds. Then you might feel a slight kindling of that energy. So let's just do a little bit more. Good. Let's create a firm contraction on the genitals. And then inhale whatever remaining residual air you can. Draw the awareness up inside the belly. Focus your awareness inside the belly. Keep the genitals gently contracted. Awareness is inside the belly, below the navel. Tune into if you feel a pulse or heat or a spin or whatever sensations you feel. Once you feel something, go ahead and exhale all the air out. Good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go into Kriya. So we're going to interlace the fingers, cross the thumbs, align your index fingers, elbows in, inhale the arms up above the head. All right, good. So now what we're going to start doing is we're going to do the Kriya. So first off, let's take a deep breath in. Release the tension on your eyes. Allow them to float upward towards your fingers. Tongues gently at the roof of the mouth briefly. You're relaxed all the way from your pelvic floor upward, relaxing the whole internal tube. Go ahead and exhale. Inhale a half breath. We're going to begin Kriya. So Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. We're going to be doing this for about 3 minutes, so keep it up. Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. Again, you're pulling in the belt line on Sat, relaxing the belt line on Nam. Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. Let's do another minute. Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. Good. Let's go ahead and pause. Take a deep breath in. You want to keep your pelvic floor relaxed. Fill all the way up from your pelvic floor, all the way up to the sinuses with air. Once you're full of air, go ahead and once again keep the eyes rolled up as if you're gazing at those fingers above. Contract root lock, so that is contract your anus, your perineum, your genitals, pulling your belt line. Tighten the belt line, tighten the ribs. Again, it's like you're squeezing in all the energy into your body's center channel, squeezing in towards your spinal cord all the way up. Even contract the temples if you can, the sides of the neck, everything. You're going to hold that for as long as you comfortably can. So go ahead and relax all the contractions. Go ahead and exhale. All right, so we're going to do another 2 or 3 minutes. So keep it up. Let's do one more. Go ahead, deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale, half breath. We're going to do some more Sat Kriya. Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. 1 minute and a half left. Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. Keep it up. 1 minute. Sat Nam, 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 Sat Nam. Let's take a full breath in. Relax the pelvic floor and fill up completely all the way up. Contract root lock. Once again, anus, perineum, genitals, pulling the belt line, tighten the belt line, the rib cage. Tongue, eyes, squeezing all the way in towards your body center channel. Eyes looking upward towards your fingers. Release the tension. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, arms down. All right, so after doing Kriya, we did, like I said, about 6 minutes total. They always say you should meditate for an equal amount of time or rest for an equal amount of time. In this particular case, we're going to do a guided breath. So we've shunted or directed the energy upward through the compression, right? Through the tension and release process, we've guided this energy upward. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it back down to the navel. And how we're going to do that is through the So Hung breath. So we're going to be inhale and mentally vibrating the sound SO or So. Exhale and mentally vibrating the sound HUNG or hung. Okay, so it's inhale So, exhale hung. Go ahead and close your eyes. And you're going to tune into just the sensation on the edge of your nostrils to begin with. So inhaling So, feeling the air pass by the edge of your nostrils. Exhaling hung, feeling the air passing out of the nostrils. Again, this is a mental vibration. You don't actually have to make the sounds. So let's go ahead and begin. Inhale So, exhale hung, just feeling the edge of the nostrils. So continuing to follow the pathway of the air, nostrils, now we're going up into the sinuses. Inhale So, exhale hung, nostrils up into the sinuses. Tongue is at the roof of the mouth, very, very gently, very, very subtly. Breathing as long and deep. Good. So now we're going to do nostrils, sinus, and throat. So inhaling So, exhaling hung. Nostrils, sinus, throat. Feeling that pathway of the air as it goes in and out. Good. So we're going to keep breathing in this pattern, this manner. Nostrils, sinus, throat. Feeling the lungs expand on inhale and contract on exhale. Inhale so, exhale hung, following the pathway of the air. Nostrils, sinus, throat, lungs. Now we're going to feel the diaphragm as it moves down towards your navel on inhale and up towards your rib cage on exhale. Inhale so, exhale hung, following the pathway of the air. Let's go ahead and take one final deep breath in. Draw the awareness all the way in, nostrils, sinus, throat, lungs, diaphragm, and draw your awareness all the way to your navel point. Once again, 2 fingers below the actual navel, inside the belly, directly above the perineum, inside that space. So go ahead and fill up with air, retain the breath. Now I'm going to have you contract root lock. Once again, contract the anus, the perineum, the genitals, belt line. It's also called Mula Bandha. So root lock or Mula Bandha. Keeping the focus inside the belly, retaining that root lock, retain the breath in for as long as you can, tuning into sensations inside the belly. Then go ahead and exhale all the air out. Maintain that root lock. Maintain your focus inside the belly. Relax the root lock, deep breath in. And then exhale. And just relax. So now you want to go into meditation, feeling and sensing. I do suggest meditating for at least 5 minutes now. You can lie down if you need. Seated upright would be ideal. But at some point after you do this process, you definitely want to make sure you meditate. And I also definitely recommend you do a little bit of meditation before bed. You might have some interesting experiences. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. Appreciate you.